Hello again on Tuesday. Um, some more technicals that have been trying to beat us. Um, so this is take two. Let's hope it goes well. I hope you're all well on this Tuesday. Not a bad day. A wee bit of rain out there now, but that's all right. So, um, take you back a wee bit to some of my first bands that I played in before. I was lucky enough to join up with the Silencers, and before Canada, and sort of starting in after Junior Showtime. Um, uh, so yeah, playing with a bunch of great people. Uh, Bands. Oh, there's a plane. That's the first plane I've saw in ages. Um, yeah, so bands like Transit, Inside Out, but mainly Transit, where we started out in this wee pub in Coatbridge. Look out, mama, there's a white boat coming up the river with a big red beacon and a man flag on the rail. I think you better call John. Don't look like they're here to deliver the mail. Well, it's less than a mile away. I hope they didn't come to stay. It's got numbers on the side and a gun that's making big waves. Daddy's rifle in my hand felt reassuring. You said red means run, son. Numbers add up to nothing. But when the first shot hit the dog, I saw it coming. Oh yeah. I raised my rifle to my eye. I didn't stop to wonder why. I saw black and my face splash in the sky. Daddy's rifle in my hand felt reassuring. That's not the right words. Daddy is gone and my brother's out hunting in the mountains. Big John's been drinking since the river to Camaloo. So the power that's been left here to do the thinking. Oh yeah, I just turned 22. I was wondering what to do. Closer they got, the more those feelings grew. And then it's this verse. Daddy's rifle in my hand felt reassuring. You said red means run, son. Numbers add up to nothing. But when the first shot hit the dog, I saw it coming. Oh yeah. I raised my rifle to my eye. I didn't stop to wonder why. Then I saw black and my face splash in the sky. Well, shelter me from the powder and the finger. Remember me with the thought that pulled the trigger. Remember me as one you never figured. Oh yeah, to fade away so young, with so much left undone. Remember me to my love, I know I miss her. Yeah, Powderfinger. What a song. The great Neil Young. So yeah, that was in that would have been back in the days. I don't know what age I am. 17, 18. No, a lot later than that. Because I'd gone to Canada and then came back again. So yeah, a bit later than that. But yeah. So yeah, and great times. A couple of George Frames in the band, lovely, yeah, Brian Nelson playing keyboards, Davy Miller playing bass, and then that sort of went on a bit, not on so much as it went on a bit. There was other members came in. Denny Rankin came in then and played guitar. And Davey Harkness came in and played drums. Who else? Did anybody else come in? Have I forgot anybody? Hopefully not. Yeah, so it was interesting. So kind of between, and then that kind of moved on to like Inside Out. Yeah, I think probably I was about 16 or 17 when we started. Yeah, we were actually. We were young. It was before Canada actually. And then when I came back from Canada, I played an Inside Out. But it was brilliant. We played in this wee place called the Brig Inn in Coatbridge. It was just full of dope. Like loads of dope. Everybody smoking pot. I don't know if they were smoking pot in the place, but everybody... And I was smoking dope as well. Not very good at it. Always whitey and terrible. Yeah, give us another puff of that. But couldn't handle it. And yeah, so somebody asked me to play that song for the old days, and I know it on guitar, but I like playing piano because I don't really know how to play it, and I like figuring out. What I do is I transpose it all the time, so you play the same notes all the time, but in different keys, and then that allows you to do different songs. So yeah. So yeah, the Brig Inn, that was back in Coatbridge in the day, and sort of it wasn't until I sort of came out of that that I think that would have been the point that I knew for sure that I had to be a musician, or I had to play music at least. I had to try and do something with it. I had to try and round the circle, if you like, complete the square. So yeah, I thought I've got to keep doing that. I didn't want to play too many covers of other people's songs, so I wanted to get into to playing my own songs, and I wrote Last Destination roughly about that time. And we were trying to write as a band, but the guys were older than me and they had other things to do. They had other priorities. I just had this focus, this kind of thing that I was going to go and just do songs. And that kind of led me to leaving Scotland, because I got this opportunity, as I said earlier in some of the earlier stuff, to go to Canada and play in with I started off playing in bars down in Kitsilano and Gastown in Vancouver and stuff, and just playing all these wee bars and doing some covers, but trying to do other songs. And that's when the guy Tom Lavin from a band called the Powder Blues, a Canadian blues band, had heard about me, or I don't remember how it went, but there was some bizarre stuff going on there, just doing clubs, and I'd get up anywhere, to try and sing. If I could get a song, I'd go up and do it, and that led me on to, as I say, this guy Tom Lavin, and he kind of took me on, and then we tried to marry that up with finding other musicians so we found these young guys. They were all sort of kids that were from out of Vancouver. They were from out in the sticks. I can't remember all the guys' names, which is not good. I remember Big Rob Lulick, who was the sort of driving force of that, and they were really good. They were great kids. They were just they were on it. They were really determined. They wanted to be the next sort of U2. They wanted to have and they had that really original sound, that lovely original sound. Somebody asked me to do this. I'll do a wee bit of this while I'm blathering on and talking a load of nonsense. Yeah, somewhere like that, I think. That's staying what it is. One day, youth gave way to the high life. One way, there's no escape from the bright lights. Lost on your own in a combat zone with a calling and a longing to be. A deep despair in a world that don't care. Well, good morning, it's your warning. Mr. Wild Child, running in the streets, military cameraman with no one to defeat. Mr. Wild Child, people get carried away. I'm going to tune this because it's really annoying me. Walk on a wire, a funeral pyre in the Wild West. The smoke gets higher, the story gets wired to the news desk. In deep despair, doesn't anyone care that he's lying, that he's dying on the streets? Well, the cry rang out from a northern town. It's a story, Jack and Nori, Marconi, Mr. Wild Child, running in the streets, military cameraman with no one to defeat. Mr. Wild Child, people get carried away. Mr. Wild Child, life is not a dream. Jesus teaches how to pray, the devil is a cheat. Mr. Wild Child, people get blown away when there's no safe place to go, when there's nowhere safe to hide. We'll be counting countless crosses. There'll be standing in a line, a line, a line. Mr. Wild Child, running in the streets, a military cameraman with no one to defeat. Mr. Wild Child, people get carried away. Mr. Wild Child, life is not a dream. Jesus teaches how to pray, the devil is a cheat. Mr. Wild Child, people get blown away. People get blown away. People get blown away. Yeah, so yeah, I do that well. I remembered to do it. So yeah, so we're playing all these little bars and different things in Vancouver, and then we, as I say, this Tom Lavin guy came along and he changed the game a bit, because he put us into studios, for fear of repeating myself. He put us into studios with some really good musicians in Vancouver, and that kind of led us on from there a little bit, and that's when I started sort of trying to write songs. But I remember, and I told this already about the silencers coming through and that changing my mind, but it changed my mind really dramatically. It changed it in a way that I'd heard a sound and I wanted to follow that sound. I wanted to follow the sound that the silencers made, and so I began and almost immediately. I went in almost immediately and said to the guys that were working with us that I wanted to leave, and you can imagine how disappointed they were, because they had been working really hard for this, and it was all building up, and then all of a sudden, I decided that I was leaving, and that's always difficult in a band, particularly when the front man leaves. So yeah, who knows what would have happened if I would have stayed on. I think I would have done music that I probably didn't want to do at that time, because what we were doing was really nice, but it wasn't. I think if we could have taken our sound and brought it back to the UK, we would have maybe have met some people that could have kind of moved it around a little bit. I felt it was just a wee bit too North American for me. I like the kind of bohemian sound that the Silencers made, and bands that were coming out of Scotland at that time in particular. The kind of Deacon Blues and the Delamitris and bands, of course, the Blue Nile, they had their own sound. So yeah, I made my mind up pretty quickly. I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to stay there. As much as I loved Vancouver, I thought it was a brilliant city. And so the songs that we'd done, it was really funny actually, because I remember in one stupid thing that I did a lot of stupid things, but I was in we were in Paris and we were doing a big show in Paris, and I was on the tour bus and I had the demos, and I don't know if back then it was even on a cassette. It might have been on a cassette, but if it wasn't, it had just gone onto a CD, and I had the demos, and I threw them out the window of the tour bus, and I kind of regret that now, because I don't have them. I don't have the wee demos as a historical thing, and those were things that I should have kept, because those were things that were teaching me all the time how to be better, or you could look back on them and say, yeah, well, I used to do that, and now I'm trying to do this. That's not for a moment to say that those songs were that they were inferior. They were just younger. They were fresher. They didn't have the same stamp as what the Silencers had when I saw them coming through. That changed my mind dramatically. So yeah, that was an interesting time, and I remember it was in the Pigalle throwing out the CD of the early demos and thinking, oh, I'm better than that. But those are the things you look back on and think, you know, you know how sometimes they ask you what would a 55-year-old tell 56 now tell a 26-year-old and yeah, what would he tell him to behave himself? So yeah, so that was a wee bit about that time. So kind of moving slightly forward, I'm going to play this song. I'm not going to play it all because I can't remember it all. But somebody asked me to play a wee bit of this as well. It's turning into a bit of a karaoke. Sure about these capos? I won't name it because that'd be unfair. I'm an ordinary man, nothing special, nothing grand. I had to work for everything I own. Though I never asked for a lot, I was happy with what I got. Enough to feed my family and my home. And now they say the times are hard, and they've handed me my cards. They say there's not the work to go around. I bet when the whistle blows, the gates will finally close. Tonight they're gonna tear this factory down. No one ever missed a day, nor went and strike for better pay. 20 years I served them best I could. Now with a handshake and a check, seems so easy to forget. Loyalty through the bad times and through good. Now the owner says he's sad, see that things have got so bad, but the captures of industry won't let him lose. For he still drives a car, smokes a great big cigar. Still he takes his family on a cruise. So condemned I stand, I'm just an ordinary man, like thousands before me in the queue. And watch my darling wife trying to make the best of life. God knows what the kids are gonna do. But now they're real-faced with this human waste, a generation cast aside. For as long as I live, I never will forgive. Strip me of my dignity and pride. You strip me bare, you strip me bare. Yeah, that was a song that was sang by an Irish singer-songwriter, a guy called Christy Moore, and brilliant. Amazing guy on just an acoustic and a vocal, yeah, absolutely brilliant. He comes in all different shapes and sizes. Christy did play with the Moving Hearts, and other bands. I don't know if he had a shot with Planks Tea, I can't remember, but he's brilliant. It is brilliant, and but I met Christy. There was I don't know if any of you remember. There was a Fly years and years ago. It was the first one and only Fly. It was in Glasgow Green, and we played it as the Silencers. It was all kind of bands there. There was Rory Gallagher played. I think it might have been the last couple of years or last year of Rory's life. I don't recall what year Rory died, but he wasn't very well. And Christy was there. Van Morrison played it, and I must tell the story. But when we played it, and I was so excited that Van Morrison was there and Christy Moore was there and stuff, and my brothers were there, and I ended up having a couple of drinks, and I never really done that before. And I had a sort of wee at the side of the stage. It was a big audience. I think it was like 60 or 70,000 people, and I had met Christy Moore just before it. He'd introduced himself. He had met one of my brothers, and so he knew a wee bit about me and a bit about the music. And I covered that song, Ordinary Man, actually on a B-side of a Silencers. We did I don't know what song it was. Might have been Bulletproof Heart. I can't remember. But on the B side of that, we did Pretty Boy Floyd, I think, and we did that, Ordinary Man. But it was taken from a live radio session with Billy Sloan when he was back in Radio Clyde. And anyway, so there was me a bit later on. Christy had known that had found out that I'd covered the song, and as I say, came up to introduce himself, which was amazing. For I'd always been a huge fan of what he did as an artist. Here he was introducing himself to me, and he kind of he says that he arranges to meet me, and before we go on stage, my tour manager at the time was a guy called Phil Byrne, and he went over, I think, to say to Christy, that's the boys going on stage and stuff, and he noticed that I had a drink. And he said to me, that's not very good, that's not very professional, and he gave me a wee bit of a telling off, and I really took it because of the guy that he was. But I remember that being on stage and not being quite right, because I had like 2 or 3 drinks in me. I had maybe a couple of glasses of wine, real sort of bravado stuff, and maybe a beer or 2 beers, but enough to I almost see like being on stage is a bit like driving. You've had 1 drink, you're all right. You've had 2, you're not quite, so you shouldn't be driving anyway. It's the law. But you also shouldn't be going on stage like that. I don't think it improves. It certainly doesn't improve me, but that's how I gauge it. Anyway, we come off stage, and Christy was sort of saying, that was good, and you've done well, I enjoyed your band. And then he asked me, did I want to go over and see the Levellers, because they were playing as well. And as we're walking over to see the Levellers, Van Morrison comes towards us, and him and Christy are good friends, obviously, and they know one another. So I kind of take a step back, and Van says hello, and Christy says hello and stuff, and Christy says, look, I'll catch up with you, I'm just going to get a word with Van. And they go into Van Morrison's dressing room. We all had the individual porta cabins backstage, and but my best friend Paul Lennon was there, and he was the guy who I named Sunnyside Pal after. His name was Paul Anthony Lennon, and he was desperate to get Christy's autograph. So when I said we would arrange it, so the guy who looks after Christy at the time, I'm sure, was called Tiny. He was anything but. And I said to him, he had realised that me and Christy had familiarised ourselves with one another, and I could go over and just and get this autograph for Paul. And so Paul, he wouldn't have it. He wanted to come with us, so I said that's fine. But he was a bit pissed, and so he goes away over, and he's got this. Well, managed to get him a pen and piece of paper from somewhere, and I'm standing outside of their dressing room, and Van Morrison waves me in. Now he doesn't know me. Of course, he doesn't know me. But he knows that I know Christy for all of 5 minutes, and so he waves us in, and it's all been arranged that Paul's going to get their autographs. So when he walks into the dressing room, Van the man stands up, and he sort of just slightly leans his arm out in a gesture of just, you hold on a second there, and said, actually, Christy first, Van, thank you. So he goes over to Christy Moore, and he gets Christy Moore to write to Paul and Jenny, who was his girlfriend at the time, went on to be his wife. To Paul and Jenny, this is what you have to write. He's instructing Christy Moore what to write. You have to write, to Paul and Jenny, love, 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 Christy Moore, or love Christy Moore, and Christy. And he says, oh, who's Christy? And that's my cat. He says, I named my cat after you. So he then turns round to Van Morrison, and Van Morrison was brilliant with him. He got, oh, all right, so it's my turn now, is it? And he said, yeah, it's your turn now. And he gets Christy Moore to write to Lembo and Jenny, because Lembo's his nickname. As he turns round to Van Morrison, he says to Van Morrison, okay, Van, I want you to write to Jenny and Paul. And Van Morrison says to him, hold on a wee minute here. First of all, you want me to go second. You've asked him, this is all in good humour, you've asked him to write to Lembo and Jenny, and now it's to Jenny and Paul we meet. And he said, yes, it's actually Jenny that likes your music, Van. And of course I'm standing at the entrance of the door thinking, oh my God, this is my last gig. I'll never get a support ever with Van Morrison. That's a certainty. I never got I've been in Van's company once after that, and and I've never been in his company long enough to since then to actually tell him about. He'll never remember it, but it's absolutely embedded in my memory. My rock and roll years of being in the industry. Paul just sort of Christy first, Van. Priceless. You couldn't make it up. Anyway, I think that's enough for today. Christy did another beautiful song. I'll maybe do a wee bit of that. I am a sailor. Tune this up a bit. Yeah, I'm sure about that, Capo. Yeah, they'll get my vote. No, you've not got my vote. I am a sailor, you're my first mate. We signed on together, we coupled our fate. Hold up our anchors, determined not to fail. For the heart's treasure, together we set sail. No maps to guide us, we steered our own course. We sat out the storms when the winds were gale force. We sat out the doldrums in patience and hope. Working together, we learned how to cope. Life is an ocean, love is a boat. In troubled waters, it keeps us afloat. When we started the voyage, there was just me and you. Now gathered round us, we have our own crew. Together we run this relationship. We built it with care to last the whole trip. Our true destinations not marked on any chart. We're navigating for the shores of the heart. Life is an ocean, love is a boat. In troubled waters, it keeps us afloat. When we started the voyage, there was just me and you. Now gathered round us, we have our crew. Yeah, I'm laughing there because I find it hard to sing that song without adopting a half an Irish accent. But anyway, so that's a song called The Voyage, another Christy Moore song. So yeah, I think that's good for today. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll try and think of some more stories for tomorrow. Love the Van Morrison story. I'm glad I remembered that. And yeah, Christy First Van. Thank you. Listen, toodaloo, tatty bye.